Welcome back to more Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now it's time for Banjo and Kazooie Spirit Board. This is my first time seeing who's on this. Oh wow, there's actually quite a few. I guess that's an enemy from, like, very early on. Like, that looks more like a Donkey Kong Country enemy than a Banjo Kazooie enemy, but that's interesting. Oh wow, Gruntilda's a 4-star. That could be a problem. But anyway, Stamina Battle favors up specials in the air. I guess that's... I think Ridley has a wing attack for that. The enemy falls slowly. Okay, obviously I'm going to be using Banjo and Kazooie for this one. Did you fight these things in Spiral Mountain or not? I forget. I guess I can cycle through the costumes here. Like, I know that's referencing something, but I can't quite put my finger on what it's referencing. Not sure if any of these will end up being enhanceable or not. I mean, I doubt Gruntilda is because she's already 4-star. She probably won't turn into, you know, like, Cyborg Gruntilda from... I think it's Nuts and Bolts, but yeah, they don't like referencing that game. Or at least whenever they do, they don't reference it positively. Well, one of them's already dead. Okay, that actually is pretty decent knockback. Now I have to get used to not playing as the hero. Oh, that's what that ability is called. It's called Big Bayonet. An obligatory mention of the fact that Jam Jar's tutorials don't rhyme in American English because he often rhymes the Z button, pronouncing it Z, not Z. Of course, I'm pretty sure the tutorials all get completely messed up in the Xbox versions, because then he says things like LT and RT, which don't fit anything. That art of 2D looks... It looks kind of newish, actually. I wonder if some of these are new art, because that art looks fairly new as well. So, I wonder if they did do new art for this, just like some of the Castlevania ones. Defeat the main fighter to win, the enemy shields often, magic attacks aren't as effective. That's kind of dark, considering she gets kidnapped by a witch. Then again, the Banjo Kazooie series it's kind of interesting because a lot of people are like, you know, Rare didn't start making kind of darker games until Conker, but like Banjo-Tooie is actually very like the amount of stuff they snuck into Banjo-Tooie is just like, there's a lot of very adult jokes in that game. Like to the point where, like, I feel like it's actually kind of to the point where even a kid would probably understand them. Like, it's very unsubtle about it at times. Like, Conker was really just a natural extension of the direction they were already going in with Banjo-Tooie. And, like, Banjo-Tooie has some really dark stuff in it as well. I mean, it's like, it's more, you know, like, kind of black comedy rather than just being super, super dark. But like, the fact that... Hey, myself, I just killed your sister. Poison damage reduced. Okay. But, yeah, what I was saying is that, like, one of the Jiggy missions, basically, is you essentially murder, is it the husband or the wife you murder first? But anyway, there's an ice cube couple, it makes just as much sense in context, and you just straight up murder one of them for no reason, just because they have a Jiggy inside them. And then the other one, who just wants to say, I believe it's actually the husband who dies second, who I think just wants to go back to go back to Hailfire Peaks to see his wife again. You get him to go back there, but you drop him off on the lava side instead of the ice side, and he melts and dies horribly. Invisible favors side specials, easily distracted by items. I guess that fits with him, like, going underground, maybe? I wonder what items there are. Oh, and there's 2 Bottleses here. And yeah, speaking of dark, they straight up killed Bottles at the beginning of the second game, and then had, like, a hidden mode where... Oh, I'm guessing the items are pitfalls, which would make sense. But, yeah, where they basically... Oh, it's kind of fitting that I'm using the Bottles, Oh, and he's favoring the berry attack as well, which makes sense. Well, no, this is the real Bottles' revenge mode. Because, yeah, they had this, like, unused mode that would have let someone play as bottles and, as dead bottles and possess enemies and try and attack the player. It's kind of an interesting idea for a multiplayer mode, but kind of reminds me of how people end up playing the Super Mario, the new Super Mario Brothers games in multiplayer. They're not supposed to be, like, murder your friends, but most people play it that way anyway. Me Sword Fighter. Gold, okay. You constantly take minor damage. Enemy favors air attacks. Interesting. They have a robot with them? Is that like a washing machine Banjo or something? Kind of fits that I'm using Cranky Kong for this. I should have changed my palette, but anyway. Oh, of course you have the Skull Kid outfit. That kind of fits. Yeah, I'm not actually sure what that's supposed to... Oh, maybe it represents the robot Mumbo that you fight in Banjo Kazooie, maybe? Yeah, who turns out to be a robot. Or it could also be a Nuts and Bolts reference that I'm not getting because, well, I mean, who has played that game at this point? Yeah, I think gold is like a massive buff to like everything, so this could be a problem. I do really like, this is just kind of a thing. It's not actually Mumbo who does this transformation. I think it's Humba Wumba from the second game, but the Dragon Kazooie transformation is pretty cool. It's like one of the things unlocked by not Stop and Swap. Because they were supposed to be implementing Stop and Swap, and then they, you know, couldn't do it because Nintendo... it relied on a quirk of their hardware/software, and Nintendo fixed that quirk, and thus they weren't able to go through with it. Like, the whole history of Stop and Swap is really, really fascinating if you want to look it up, but it's actually pretty cool. I'd recommend looking at it. Oh, and I constantly take damage as well, so I gotta watch out for that. But yeah, basically they were trying to take advantage of this feature where when an N64 cartridge was ejected, its memory still stayed in the N64 for about 7 seconds, I think it was, or something like that. And like they were trying to do it so that, oh, that is very good horizontal recovery actually. They were trying to set it up so that like, you would put in Banjo Kazooie, and if you had all those items that you would have for Stop and Swap... Oh, that was stupid. Walk right into that. I'm just concentrating on my tangent right now. If you found all of those items in the first game, then you put the cartridge for the second game in. The second game would, in those, like, 7 seconds, read that data and be like, okay, you have those items, I'm going to unlock new stuff for you in this game. So it's kind of like a rudimentary, like, old save bonus, like a file transfer type thing. Kind of like, in a way, Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. But, in the end, Nintendo fixed that, so the data just didn't remain in the game for nearly as long. Like, it was like less than a second they patched it to, so obviously they couldn't do it. And thus, you had all these hidden items that, by the way, like, the way that you actually... Oh, that was bad. The way that you actually get the Stop and Swap items in that game... in the first one, is even crazier than, like, imagine all of the ridiculous Pokemon rumors, and then imagine if they were actually true. Like, you have to go to the sandcastle and enter letter by letter, phrases like, now you see a nice ice key which you can have for free. Again, letter by letter, by ground pounding the letters one by one. And, yeah... And then you have to go to the right place and find them. It's kind of ridiculous. And then they made it so that they unlock things in Nuts and Bolts, and no one really cared about that. That's in the Xbox versions, at least. But at least the Xbox versions save your note count, which is, like, I think it was just because the original N64 version just didn't have enough memory to store, like, that many this item collected flags. So, basically, they had to, like, store it as your best note score rather than collecting all the notes. Ow! This might be just like, Funky Kong, in that it's a 3-star that I'm having way more trouble with than most 4-stars. Oh, I thought it was him, not me! You know, I never actually showed myself using one of these spirits, so I may as well now. We are going to destroy you with the power of the Lord of Salt on our side. Ironically, using like the one character that nobody was salty about at all. There we go. No Hanceville so far. And Gold Kirby team. Time stamina battle. That doesn't sound good. See, apologies if I don't really have a lot to say here. It's just that, again, I haven't really played much of Banjo Kazooie. I've mostly just watched, oh boy, I only have 5 HP. I just noticed that. And they're all gold and... Well, that one's dead. Oh, that's interesting. They don't fight. You just have to find them all. That's really, really cool. That's a really nice... not nice. I'm failed. And I got killed by a minecart. But that's a really cool idea. Like, they don't try and fight you. It's just a treasure hunt. You have to find them all. That's a really awesome... I'm surprised they haven't done any spirit battle like this before. Like, basically a non-combat spirit battle. This might be one of my favorite spirit battles in the entire game, just for how cool the idea is. Because now I've kind of got to plan my route through the level. It's almost like, you know, I'm actually speedrunning a collectathon platformer. And more of them do spawn in. And found the last Jiggy. And impaled it on spikes. That's a really creative spirit battle, actually. And now you can deal damage by dashing into you. Reinforcements will appear, okay. So this one, like, these were also collectibles, but this time they're actually just attacking you. And we have Freezy Peak, one of the non-remix songs in this game. I always did like the look of that level and just the general concept of that level too. Okay, so this is not a stamina, this is just a basic fight. I'm used to everything being a stamina from the Dragon Quest one. This one doesn't really seem too bad, at least not yet. Reminds me of those team battles in Smash 64. And now it is the mighty Jinjonator, I think. Okay, so the last one is definitely tougher than the others, but bird to the head. Oh yeah, I know what you're going to enhance into. And now it's the 4-star spirit. This is going to be painful, isn't it? Yeah, see, now she's just using her minions boss theme because her actual boss theme isn't in this game. I suppose King Dedede is kind of close. Defeat the main fighter, win. The floor is poisonous. Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of sort of poison in her lair. And she has a bunch of Dr. Marios who are probably those, like, those minions. Not really sure what their official name is. Yeah, why don't they have the final boss theme in this game? That's just, One other thing about Banjo Kazooie that I can also mention is that it's kind of unique as far as collectathon platformers go, because normally in most of the games, like, you can kind of do the bare minimum and still get away with it. Wow, they go down quickly. I guess that sort of fits, though. Grunty's minions tend to be pretty flimsy. But, yeah, wow, they themselves have a lot of health, though. I could probably cheese this with eggs. Oh, I haven't actually shown... Oh, no. No! That was... Well, I mean, I guess that's pretty much the main way that you lose the Gruntilda final boss fight in the first Banjo Kazooie game, by falling off the edge. Because by the time you actually, like, get to that fight, you should probably have enough health that you are at no risk of actually dying to her attacks. But yeah, what I was saying is that, like, in a lot of collectathon platformers, like, the collection aspect is mostly optional. You can kind of get through the game while doing the bare minimum. There are generally two ways to play it. Either go for the bare minimum or go for 100%. But in Banjo-Kazooie, the difference between bare minimum and 100% is actually pretty small, because you need almost everything just to unlock the final fight, and just to unlock most of the levels. So you really need to end up, like, there's barely anything that you actually are allowed to miss in that game. So it's kind of an interesting concept. I had that coming. Well, that barely did anything, but I guess it's because this is a stamina battle. I won by falling on her. And poison power up. Okay. Is that like an even better version of, like, poison heal? It's 3 costs, but still, that's pretty strong. That was a way easier 4-star than I thought it would be, though, which is a bit of a shame. And so we get a pile of gold out of that. But I guess I can enhance the Jinjos, which, you know, we all know what they're going to turn into. So yeah, I might have to practice with Banjo and Kazooie a bit more, but they're definitely really fun to use. Yeah, here we go. So, very obvious what you're going to turn into. And yes, that is its actual official name, the Mighty Gingernator. And it makes you giant, which makes sense. So, yeah, that is, so far, everything that I can cover in this game. That is until, well, unless you want me to, like, do Sans Classic Mode or something, but no. Actually, no, they don't even, the Mii Fighters don't even have a Classic Mode, do they? So, yeah, I can't even do that. So, yeah. See you next time when Terry Bogard comes out.